So thanks to all of you who are joining us today. My name is Dalia Spasua, and I'm part of the developer marketing team here at Kong. And I'd like to welcome you all to our August user call. Today, we have a special presentation for you coming from Smriti and Samantha, as they're going to talk about simplifying production scale API management with Konnect. Let's reserve all the questions at the end of the presentation. Please put them in the Q&A function at the bottom that you see, and we'll answer them at the end. If you wish, you'll be able to unmute yourself and ask the question if you want that way. And with that, before we begin, I actually have a few things I would like to mention. I'm sure that most of you have seen already on social media, but we have our yearly event, Kong Summit, coming up in September, on September 27, 28, and 29 in San Francisco. It's going to be an in-person event. What I would like to mention, and it's very cool this year, we have 4 free training courses. So we have Kong Gateway Foundations, Mesh Foundations, Kong for Kubernetes Foundations, and then we also have Konnect training. And next to that, this year, we're also doing a virtual hackathon, and it's opening up on September 1st. If you'd like to participate, please go. You can see the link here, konghq.com/summit/hackathon, and register there. The top 5 contributions will earn prizes, and of course everyone will earn a unique t-shirt that we designed specifically for the hackathon. But please check out the webpage for more information how to participate. You can see some examples there from previous years, and more information also on the prizes. So I will stop sharing my screen, and with that I would like to pass it to Smriti and Samantha. All right, ladies, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I am just going to share my screen here. Thank you for joining us for the August 2022 Konnect user call with Smriti Jaggi and myself. I'm a group product manager here at Kong, and Smriti is a product manager overseeing the Runtime Manager. We're going to be jumping into a Konnect overview today and doing an end-to-end journey, as well as actually demoing some of our newest features. If you have any Q&A, please feel free to put it in the chat, and we'll make sure that we leave time for that at the end of the call. Before we hop in, I want to take everyone on a brief kind of overview and a reminder of what Konnect is and why we're building what we're building. And it really stems from the fact that every organization right now is under pressure to innovate, especially in this modern architecture world. Konnect's Sas API management platform makes this transition seamless by providing those out-of-the-box API capabilities, which ultimately improves developer communication and knowledge sharing and ensures the reliability for both cloud native and legacy workloads. One of our core capabilities is Runtime Management, which offers a SaaS-delivered control plane for Kong Gateway data planes. So instead of every business unit or team needing to deploy a database, a gateway admin API, and a Kong manager, users can simply make an API call with a click of a button to launch a control plane through Konnect's integrated management interface. So what you're going to see here is that data planes, which process your customer traffic, run entirely in your network, so you never actually have to worry about the data leaving your control. And on top of the world's fastest gateway and streamlined runtime management, we also offer a set of Sas Apps that provide additional value to your organization. So take you on a quick overview of what those are, and that's what you're going to see here in the global management plane. So quickly, Service Hub is that internal service catalog, allowing a 360 view of all the services within your API ecosystem and the associated documentation, API spec, as well as those implementation details. Your Runtime Manager is part of the control plane that allows you to see the various locations your Kong gateways are deployed. We actually call these your runtimes, and then enable you to group those runtimes according to internal business units, such as billing or procurement. Or you can group them by different environments, maybe like production or staging. What's also very neat about these groups that I want to highlight is they share the same configuration For example, if you apply a rate limiting plugin to one runtime group, this will be applied to all your runtimes within that group. This is one of the things that makes scaling very easy. We've got vitals, also known as analytics. And these are your macro and micro insights to some of the golden signals of your API business, which include throughput and error rate visible at both the service and runtime level. We've also baked in some custom reporting functionality that enables our users to gain further insights around those services. We have developer portal up next. That's what you would consider your company branded developer portal. And that includes your API documentation, your specs, and integrated user account, and application registration for self-service, which secures the access to your APIs without manual intervention from your team. I do want to point out that we've highlighted Kong Insomnia, which is not part of the Konnect product, but it is one of the most popular open source API design and testing tools. And while Insomnia runs on-prem, it does have a native integration into Konnect, giving that full end-to-end experience for our developers. So that is kind of our ecosystem and what it does and the power there. And now I'm going to pass the mic over to Smriti to give us a contextual example of an end-to-end journey that we will be referencing in our demo.
Thank you so much, Sam. Hello, everyone. My name is Smriti, and let's talk a little bit about what, with a real life example, what is it that that an end-to-end user journey would look like within Konnect? So for our example today, we are looking at a pet store, which has an online presence. So it has grooming services where you could book and look for appointments. It has different products that you could purchase for your pets. And that's kind of what we're going to reference. So there are 4 key personas or teams that we are going to talk about in today's call. So the first one is a platform team, which is typically your centralized IT teams, and they will set up your runtime environments. They define the internal deployment policies. They create runtime instances within the runtime group. They leverage Konnect teams and permissions to ensure that everyone has the right access, be it an individual person on an individual team. When everyone has received their proper access, we are looking at some microservices teams, such as your grooming's appointment booking services or your pet supply services, that will register all of these services onto the Konnect platform and create implementations for this within Service Hub. These implementations will define how their services can be mapped to a gateway to process traffic. These teams can also expose the services to our portal, which is our dev portal, and promote API consumptions and collaborations internally within the company, as well as externally with partners such as payment providers. All of the platform team can have visibility to these services and all of the traffic that's flowing through Konnect through our Vitals portal or our analytics portal. And so with this, Konnect platform actually realizes 2 pillars of the Kong product portfolio, which is running and governing APIs. So I think with this, Sam, let's dive right into our demo and walk everyone through, through the Konnect platform. As I share my screen here, I would urge everyone to try out, the Konnect platform with us and kind of take advantage of all the features that it provides. So let me share my screen here.
And while Smriti's pulling that up, I'll just highlight that you can access your free Konnect user account by going to konghq.com and signing up for that account. We've got some great docs that go along with it, as well as an awesome community online that can answer any questions. And then, of course, this user call is being recorded. So if you want to come back and reference anything that we go over, you can certainly do that.
Perfect. So let's go and see what our registration looks like. So you can access this page on cloud.konghq.com/register. We're going to put this link in the chat as well. And it's a simple registration form. All you need is, a couple of details. I'm going to sign up through Kong and add my details here and just generate a password, agree. to the legal requirements of the privacy policy, I'm going to modify my email just a little bit because this email account already exists with my account, and simply sign up for free. And I will modify my password. There you go. Once you confirm your email, you will have access to your Konnect account. And so I'm going to go to an account that I already have access to so that I can show some cool features within Konnect. So let's start talking a little bit about the login itself. So for the login experience, we have two options. So I'm going to go into my identity management. Either I could use a Okta-based sign-in to my OIDC, or I could sign in using Konnect's username password. So just to show you what that looks like, I've set up Okta on my organization. I can simply say login through SSO using the Okta credentials that I have stored in my Okta profile. It's going to log me directly in. There will be no need for me to add in a username password. So this greatly simplifies our users' experience to log in into the Konnect platform itself. Let's talk a little bit about the organization itself. Konnect provides certain default themes that people can take advantage of. So you have the org admin, portal viewers, etc. These are teams that have predefined access. So let's go into one of these groups. We have a runtime admin. I can see that they have predefined roles for creating, editing, and deleting runtime groups in the Runtime Manager. We cannot modify the permissions for these groups because these are provided by default. But if there are requirements for you to have a more custom-based permission roles, we do have an option to create teams. So I can add a new team. I can enter a name and description. So let me say if this is a test team, I can create the team, and then I can add members to this team. I can add what kind of services do I want to give roles to, or what kind of runtime groups to give the roles to this team. So let me walk you through an actual example for this. I have a custom team here that is called bookings. It is responsible for managing the grooming bookings for our pet store. So they would need, to get information from our groomers about what kind of availability they have, and then provide different ways for our users to actually book those appointments. So what I have done here is given them the access to a grooming's appointments service where they can check for what is the available appointments, but I have not provided them access to our groomers data itself, because that is an HR related data that does not need to be present with this bookings team. That will provide the separation that is needed where the team can function with the data, but they don't have access to even accidentally modify that information. And so I can add members here. If you're using Okta, you can do that through your IDP directly and add members. If you are using Konnect's internal login systems, you can just add your team members here. You can invite users, through your users tab. You can simply say invite user, their name, email address, and what kind of team you want to invite them to. There is also a way for us to leverage something that's called a personal access token. So this is mostly to use for when you're building any kind of automation or using APIs or DEC, which is our declarative platform for accessing Konnect. You could simply use a token rather than using your username and password. It's pretty simple. You can generate a token here. I'm going to call this PAT2. I can select what kind of expiration I need for this and simply generate it. There's going to be a token that's present here, and that I can then leverage to all of my, all of my automation and API-based access. I also want to highlight one more feature, which is the fact that we have deployments in multiple regions. So we have US and Europe that is available right now. And so what we have with these regions is all of the services and runtime groups are restricted around a region that they are defined in. So if I define a service in North America, they will not be visible when I go to Europe and vice versa. The advantage for this is we hit 2 points. One is the data residency requirement. So This ensures that all of your data that needs to be within a region, you can define it in that region itself, and it's not visible in other regions. So there's a huge compliance benefit to it. The other is, of course, on latency. So the control plane is deployed in the region itself. So it helps with minimizing the latency, so your calls are not made all across the world just to access data. With that, I'm going to pass on to Sam to walk us through all of the SaaS apps that we have available on Konnect.
Thanks, Smriti. So hopping into, we're going to hop into Service Hub. So you've seen, just to recap, you saw a custom team being made for a, for a booking service. And now I'm going to continue on that specific example. And let's say that that team, now we're in Service Hub. So let's say, for example, I'm on the services team for grooming booking, and I'm doing an API first development where perhaps I don't have an available developer, but my role is to determine what we need to build and how we'll do it. I can document that within Service Hub by uploading the API documentation. One of the beautiful parts about Service Hub is it really serves as a catalog for that 360 view as to what's going on. And so it provides the visibility to distributed teams of developers as to what's coming and what's in our ecosystem. And by uploading this documentation, I can always choose to publish this to our portal, which we're going to hop into in just a second. And what we're looking at here is really a high level view of the service, and I can see a total number of request count and the failed requests that have come in and how many versions of the service that we have. So this version might be, version 1 might be the one that's, let's say, in staging, for example. So I can hop into that version. I can see my upstream URL. I can see all of the plugins that I've applied. I've applied a rate limiting plugin. I've applied a key authentication plugin, which currently is disabled, but this is related to the developer portal. I do want to highlight here that Konnect has a ton of available out-of-the-box plugins that you can apply to your existing services. Those are also available on our website, as well as the ability to hit add plugin and select and choose from our entire kind of portfolio of plugins. By digging in a little deeper, you're going to see the YAML file that's been uploaded for that API spec itself, as well as version specific analytics that you're going to see here. And as Smriti pointed out, this service right here is, excuse me, I lost my train of thought. But as Smriti pointed out here, we're looking at US North America, and this is right now where I'm, excuse me, I'm just going to change the topic there. But I am in North America, and I'm seeing my services that are running on my cloud environment that's associated with my region, and that's going to support the compliance through data residency as well as improve latency. So that's what I did want to highlight there around North America. I'm going to hop into Dev Portal here and just take you on a little bit of a tour. I can see my published services. So we already did point out that in the grooming appointments, that that service is published to the developer portal. The developer portal allows for full customization, so I can see all, at a glance, the background colors, the text colors, etc. We also have some very exciting things coming down the pipeline for additional customization for Dev Portal. But some new things I do want to highlight here. We've simplified creating and generating a custom portal URL. So instead of having to generate an SSL certificate through your domain provider, you're simply going to add this CNAME and point to the custom URL. So let's say, for example, we wanted to make it portal@petstore.com. We could certainly do that. I'm actually going to hop into the portal itself and show you a little bit about the portal in action. And I also want to highlight that we've not only applied the single sign-on to Konnect itself, but we've also done that at the portal level. So we can log in here with SSO, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. Pardon me. Log in. And we're in. So if I'm going back to my grooming appointments, what third-party developers are able to see here is all of that API documentation that was uploaded. Let me make sure I'm on the proper version. Let's hop into version 1. And if I do that, I can see the YAML file that I pointed out earlier in the Swagger rendering of that file here. Hopping back into Konnect, I'm going to take our attention to vitals, also known as analytics. And we've not only improved some of our rendition of our traffic visualizations as well as error visualizations, where you can at a glance see the ratio between your successful and failed request, but you can do so as well and see what type of errors we're getting. We have no 500 type of errors, but we've got quite a handful of 400 errors, which that might make me dig in a little deeper. And I can do so through that custom reporting. So I've gone ahead and set up a custom report for everyone, but I'm going to go ahead and hit edit so that we can see kind of what that looks like. I can name my report, I can adjust my time frame of my report, and I can select from a variety of metric selections. I've chosen to understand total traffic by status code because I specifically want to understand what type of 400 errors are coming in. So if I go and hop into this report itself, I can now see that I'm getting quite a bit of 429 errors. Now, this is related to that rate limiting plugin that I've applied to this. I applied it to not only my grooming appointments, but in this particular scenario, I am looking at my pet purchase service. So pet supply purchase service. So what that means is that perhaps on my pet store, I have a bunch of supplies that people can shop for directly on the site. And there might be other websites that go ahead and scrape that information. Well, to protect my website and to ensure that my service can always be available for those who are coming to my local website, I've applied that rate limiting plugin to minimize the number of calls those other third-party websites can do to my site. And you can see that that rate limiting plugin is working. And that is our analytics. It's a quick overview for there. So on that note, I'm going to actually go ahead and pass it on back to Smriti to overview our runtime and deck.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sam. I am going to share my screen one more time. And let's talk about the Runtime Manager. Now, people generally think about with our on-prem Kong to have in order to separate their different environments, they've usually gone down the path of installing standalone instances of Kong on-prem. What we did here, as Sam mentioned during the introduction, is we've provided a way for customers to have that logical separation between environments or even between business units within the Runtime Manager itself, which minimizes the need for our customers to set up standalone instances of the database, have people look into the admin APIs, have new instances of Kong Manager for each individual environment, and instead leverage Runtime Manager itself, where I can create a new runtime group with just a click of the button. I can add in whatever name I want. So let's say I want to have it for a whole different business unit, such as my pet supplies unit. So I can say that it's a pet supplies is the name of my runtime group, and I want to say this is for the pet supplies team. And I can simply create my runtime group. I have a limit of 3. That's because I'm in an enterprise-based tier for Kong Konnect, and so I have a limit of 3 runtime groups at this point. But this is just how simple it is for me to add new runtimes. Now, I have set up my runtime groups in terms of my environment. So I have a default one, I have a dev, and a prod. And with each of these runtime groups, I can add in what services I need for this, what kind of routes go in for my group, what kind of plugins I apply. So like any plugins that I apply at this point is then applicable to all the runtime instances that I add to my group. We can also see that this mirrors, when I see the routes, it mirrors what we have set up in the service hub itself. So this is another way for me to configure my services and in the runtime group itself, where I can add a route and associate that to my service using the gateway services. So with that, I'm going to hop in a little bit into deck, which is which is the declarative way for me to access access Konnect. I'm going to start off with a simple ping of deck, and there is great documentation that we can of course reference to give you a little bit more details about each of these commands. But with this, what I want to show is how do we even leverage our CLI for even connecting to my Konnect. So what I have done here is I'm just simply pinging deck to a runtime group, and I have saved the value of the default runtime group here, and I'm using my credentials to ping it, and then we will see that it has successfully pinged it. Now, as you remember, we had two regions available within our Konnect platform. One was an EU region, one was a US region. So what I want to do now is see if I can even ping my EU region. So for that, I'm going to first set my EU API address. So you will see here it says eu.api.conghq.com. I'm going to set that, and then I'm going to ping my EU region and see what happens there. We've made that distinction by adding a new flag called Konnect ADDR, wherein I can send in the API address. It is by default for the US API. With the flag, I can change it to any other region that I want. And you can see that I have successfully connected as per the event to my EU region. Let's talk a little bit about how do we use deck. So I'm going to go back to my US region, and I'm going to do a deck dump of the runtime group itself. So let me get my my command here, and let me do a deck dump of the runtime group through my credentials. It is saving it in the in a file called kong.yaml. So I'm going to move that to my let me just open that kong.yaml here. And what you can see here is I am at my runtime group default. I can see what my service upstream URL is. I can see what kind of plugins I have applied to it. So I have a keyauth plugin, which is not enabled, which is why my enabled flag is false. I can see all of the different configurations for it. I can also see my rate limiting plugin. And then I can see that it is enabled for true. I have set a threshold of 900 requests per minute, and I'm limiting that by IP address. So all of this good information is available within this. It has a tag to which service it is connected to. So we are connected to the grooming appointment service, which is where we are making sure that we have, rate limits available. So it is available not just in grooming service, but also in our pet services, but I can modify all of the plugins as I need. It shows me what path is available, where I am accessing my my route. So it has all of this good information. Now, one thing that that is really cool here is that I can make modifications to my YAML file, do a deck sync command, and it will automatically sync it in the UI itself. So let me go ahead and make that make those adjustments in my file. So let me move the kong.yaml to my desktop so I have easy access to it. It has open here. Let me, oops. Oh, hang on while I get my screens in order, please. Okay, I am going to bring this down so that you guys can see what I see. So this is the YAML file that I have. I am going to make a modification, and let's say I'm going to put the rate limiting enabled to false. And I'm going to save that. And then let's do a deck sync command for this. And I should be able to see that reflected on the UI itself. I'm going to move my Kong.yaml file back to where it was. And it has synced it. So I'm going to go back to my service app, go back to grooming appointments in a different version. So I have that in the V1 version, and you will see that my rate limiting plugin has now been disabled. So that's a very cool way for us to make modifications to our Konnect configuration directly through the CLI command. With that, I want to urge everyone to sign up today for free at cloud.konghq.com/register. You will start off with a free trial for 2 weeks, and you will be able to take advantage of all the cool features that we have there and play around with Konnect. And with that, I want to open up the floor for any questions that you guys may have for us today.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Smriti and Sam. It was great. We have one question in the Q&A section, by the way, from John.
Perfect. I'm going to read John's question out aloud. So his question is, what is the expansion plans in India region for the control plane? A lot of clients are asking about the data going out of region, since I believe currently it only supports US. So that is true that currently our control plane is in US. We have just added a new region for EU. And we are evaluating what are other regions that we want to host our control plane in. And India definitely is one of those candidates, and we will be evaluating based on a number of customers what is the next region that we target.
Thank you, Smriti. Let's see if we have any more questions. Just to let everyone know, this recording will be available on our YouTube channel tomorrow. I will post the link in the chat if you want to rewatch it. Oh, there's one more question from Jared.
So Jared's question is, what type of vitals are found to be most helpful? Sam, I'm going to pass this on to you.
Yeah, I think that absolutely depends on kind of what your organization is in need of. And that's one of the neat things about vitals, is that you do have that customization. But what we call our golden signals are throughput as well as error rate. And what's coming in our roadmap in the next few months is you're going to start to see latency as well. And a bunch of other neat custom dashboards. So you'll start to see this vitals component grow, and that customization for what the needs of your organization are will be available. We want to kind of empower our users to choose what it is they need and give them that ability to do so. We have another question from Amir. We need to have Kong as an API gateway in our infrastructure. Could you please give us a roadmap for install and implementing it?
So for
yeah, I was going to pass it to you, so I'm glad you answered.
Thanks, Sam. So Amir, for Kong as an API gateway, you have two options. You could either do the on-prem for Kong, which is getting the license for Kong API, for the API gateway, and then implementing that on-prem within your infrastructure. So what that would need is for you to set up a database, a Postgres database, some admin APIs, as well as an instance of Kong Manager to have that UI to manage the API gateway. There is also a way for you to use Deck and then install your API gateway and kind of configure it based on your environment. The other way for you is to use Kong Konnect to get access to the API gateway. So Kong Konnect leverages the enterprise version of the API, the Kong API gateway as its data plane. So you could register at the cloud.konghq.com/register and set up a control plane. So with that, the data plane that you would need for the gateway will still be in your environment, but then you could have a cloud hosted control plane to configure your gateways.
And Amir, all of that is also like in our supporting docs as well. So I definitely encourage you to reference that. So after you kind of, let's say you go the direction of Konnect, which, Smriti and I might be a little biased towards Konnect because it's the product we work on 99% of our time specifically. But after you go ahead and get that set up, you'll go and, like she said, install Kong Gateway onto your control plane, doing that in Runtime Manager. And then you can set up your gateway services through Runtime Manager, or if you want to do that API first design, you can always start at Service Hub as a way to kind of set up that service catalog and then set up the gateway as service implementation through there. You're welcome.
All right, let's give it 30 more seconds, see if someone's going to ask. If not, we can wrap it up. All right. Thank you so much, Smriti, Samantha. Thanks, Ross, for being here. Thanks, everyone who joined today. We hope to see you at our next user call. Yeah, have a great evening, great day. See you soon. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.